When you think about the biggest enemy you have, the one that can truly steer you off course, it never forces you. Yeah, you heard that right. It doesn't break down your door. It doesn't shout in your face. Nope. It's way, way more clever than that. It's personal.
In fact, the whole thing starts with something so small, so quiet, you might not even notice it. It begins with a whisper.
And in this explainer, we are going to pull back the curtain on that whisper. We're going to break down its 7 stages. It's basically a playbook for how a tiny little thought can be engineered into a life-altering habit, a lot of the time without us even having a clue what's happening. So let's start with the overall game plan.
Think of this whole process as a strategic game plan. It's run by this unseen influence, an internal antagonist, if you will. It's not some big frontal assault. It's a slow, methodical, 7-stage process designed to lead you down a path you never, ever intended to walk.
And here's the entire playbook, the whole shebang. It all starts with a simple suggestion, which then gets a makeover, making it beautiful. Then we start to justify it, which leads to action. Through repetition, our own conscience begins to harden, and we eventually end up completely misguided. So let's dig in and see how this whole sneaky journey begins.
All right, this first phase is all about planting a seed. It's where the idea gets introduced and then it's carefully polished to look as appealing as it possibly can.
And it all kicks off right here with stage 1.
The suggestion. This is that initial whisper. It's that fleeting thought that just kind of pops into your head. Hey, just one look. It's not a big deal. What's the harm, really? It sounds completely harmless. Now, this analogy is just perfect. The best way to think of this suggestion is as clickbait for your mind. It's this juicy little headline designed to be just intriguing enough to get you to click, to get you to engage with that thought for just a second longer than you probably should.
And of course, once you've clicked on that mental clickbait, the playbook immediately flips to stage 2.
The beautification stage. So now that unseen enemy takes that simple, negative thought and starts to decorate it. It makes the wrong path look exciting, glamorous, maybe even the logical thing to do.
And this just nails the tactic. It's exactly like putting an Instagram filter on a bad decision. The idea gets airbrushed, the colors get saturated, everything's sharpened until all the flaws just disappear. And what you're left with is a distorted but super appealing version of reality.
Okay, this next phase is the big one. It's the critical turning point where all this thinking starts to pivot into actually doing something. But before the action itself, there's a really crucial internal step.
It happens because of stage 3. This is where your own mind actually starts to work against you. This is justification. This is where you start to rationalize. You tell yourself things like, come on, everyone else is doing it. Or, you know what, I deserve this. Or maybe the all-time classic, I'll make up for it later. You're basically building a legal case to break your own rules.
So the crucial point is this. You're essentially writing fake news headlines for your own conscience. You're creating this whole narrative based on half-truths and convenient excuses that lets you feel okay about taking that first step. And once that barrier is broken, well, action almost always follows.
So that first action, that's stage 4 of the playbook, and it might feel like just a single mistake. But the enemy's goal isn't a one-time thing. It's to turn that one step into a deep, deep rut. And that happens through the power of repetition. Let's see how this builds. This brings us to stage 5, repetition. Now look at this timeline. The very first time you do something wrong, that feeling of guilt is usually pretty high, right? It's uncomfortable. But by the 10th time, that feeling is much, much lower. And by the 100th time, the action can become almost automatic, and the guilt might be gone entirely. It's just what you do. And this bar chart for stage 6, the hardening of the heart, shows that effect so dramatically. That first spike of guilt, that's your internal alarm system screaming at you. But after doing it over and over, that guilt gets worn down until there's barely a signal left. What once felt so wrong now just feels normal.
And this leads us to stage 7, the final and frankly most insidious part of the playbook, complete misguidance. This is where the deception becomes absolute.
And here's the most dangerous part of it all. You no longer see the problem. You might even find yourself defending your habit. You've gone so far down this path that you've forgotten where you even started, and you genuinely believe you're heading in the right direction. That little whisper has become your truth.
So if this process is so subtle and so powerful, is there a way out? Absolutely. The key isn't some kind of superhuman willpower. It's something much simpler. It's awareness. Your shield is recognizing the playbook as it's happening.
So here's the game plan to fight back. First, you got to recognize the clickbait suggestion for what it is, a trap. When an idea seems a little too perfect, start to question the Instagram filter being applied to it. Actively challenge the fake news your mind generates to justify acting on it. And most importantly, do whatever it takes to break the cycle of repetition before it hardens your heart. Just being aware of these stages is your ultimate protection.
Because every single day we're faced with these subtle suggestions. So the question we're left with isn't whether the whispers will come, it's which whisper will you choose to listen to today.